favorite dog. I don't think you're supposed to. Does it work like that for children? Like when there's families that have 5 children, 8 children, is there a favorite child?
No, the children are different than animals, I think. And except for some people, animals are not different than children.
It's true.
For us, animals are different than children.
You're making sure that is for us. Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
I do have a favorite animal just because he's very loving. I like the pug. Oh, he just wants to be with you. The other dog wants to run away from you, i.e. last night. Ran right out the door.
Listen,
Hi, mama!
that dog
I was going to leave her.
has not been trained.
She's untrainable.
We have tried.
We have tried.
She is untrainable.
You know what the date
and
is?
it is exhausting.
Do you know what the date is?
The 20th.
Oh my goodness. You get a double pager.
Oh, good luck, people.
I'm going to take my glasses off.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a really good one. If
How do you know?
have the attention span, you need to just grab your coffee, relax. Honesty in relationships.
Oh.
You could also grab a tea. That's fine. I don't want to be against tea people.
Do you put anything in your coffee at this hour?
At this hour, yes. I like
Oh,
a
you do?
little bit of honey and a little bit of coconut milk.
You like sweet. You do like the sweet in the
Just
coffee.
a little bit. I do.
I do not put. I
Like a
think
little
that
bit.
I think it's sinful. I think it's.
Whatever.
I think it's. I
You're not God, so I don't actually care what
I
you
was
think is sin.
I was I was given a coffee at Starbucks the other day, and it was like cream and sugar in it. And so she just said, "I made this extra. Do you want this?" And I said, "Yeah." And I could hardly drink it with the sugar in it. Remember the double?
We can be honest and direct about our boundaries in relationships and about
And
the
go.
parameters of a particular relationship. Perhaps no area of our life reflects our uniqueness and individuality in recovery more than our relationships. Some of us are in a committed relationship. Some of us are dating. Some of us are not dating. Some of us are living with someone. Some of us wish we were dating. Some of us wish we were in a committed relationship. Some of us get into new relationships after recovery. Some of us stay in the relationship we were in before we began recovering. We have other relationships too. We have friendships, relationships with children, with parents, with extended family. We have professional relationships, relationships with people on the job. We need to be able to be honest and direct in our relationships. One area we can be honest and direct about is the parameters of our relationships. We can define our relationships to people, an idea written about by Charlotte Castle and others, and we can ask them to be honest and direct about defining their vision of the friendship with us. It is confusing to be in relationships and not know where we stand. Whether this is on the job, in a friendship, with family members, or in a love relationship, what we want it to be. Or in a love relationship, we have a right to be direct about how we define the relationship, what we want it to be. But relationships equal two people who have equal rights. The other person needs to be able to define the relationship too. We have a right to know and ask. So do they. Honesty is the best policy. We can set boundaries. If someone wants a more intense relationship than we do, we can be clear and honest about what we want. Because that is what we want to give. How the person deals with that is his or her issue, whether or not we tell the person is ours. We can set boundaries and define friendships when those cause confusion. We can even define relationships with children if those relationships have gotten sticky and exceeded our parameters. We have relationships and what that means to each person. We have a right to ask and receive clear answers. We have a right to make our own definitions and have our own expectations. So does the other person. Honesty and directness is the only policy. Sometimes we don't know what we want in a relationship. Sometimes the other person doesn't know, but the sooner we can define a relationship with the other person's help, the sooner we can decide on an appropriate course of conduct for ourselves. The clearer we can become on defining relationships, the more we can take care of ourselves in that relationship. We have a right to our boundaries, wants, and needs, and so does the other person. We cannot force someone to be in a relationship or to participate at a level we desire if he or she does not want to. All of us have a right not to be forced. Information is a powerful tool, and having the information about what a particular relationship is, the boundaries and definitions of it, will empower us to take care of ourselves in it. Relationships take a while to form, but at some point we can reasonably expect clear definition of what that relationship is and what the boundaries of it are. If the definitions clash, we are free to make a new decision based on appropriate information about what we need to do to take care of ourselves. Today, I will strive for clarity and directness in my relationships. If I now have some relationships that are murky and ill-defined, and if I have given them adequate time to form, I will begin to take action to define that relationship. God, help me let go of my fears about defining and understanding the nature of my present relationships. Guide me into clarity, clear, healthy thinking. Help me know what I want is okay. Help me know that if I can't get that from the other person, what I want is still okay, but not possible at the present time. Help me learn to forego what I want or need, but empower me to make appropriate, healthy choices about where to get that.
Amen. Good old relationships. We were in our early days of recovery. We were invited into a city ministry here in Ottawa.
You and I.
You and I. Me and you.
Me and you.
You and I. And it was what my kids called Friends Club.
Friend camp.
Friend camp. And it was a 2-year commitment. And it was 10 couples, I think.
Yep.
Pastors. And we did events or meetings every couple months for 2 years. And they say it takes 2 years to build a relationship. I would say most people struggle
People nowadays
going into like a relationship for more than 2 years.
Yeah. People don't give it that kind of time. Especially when it comes to love relationships right now. I find just talking with people that are dating right now, it's really different. Like, things move quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think there's different relationships as far as recovery. And I know some of the hardest relationships is some of the stuff that I've had even in churches and leadership, because they don't necessarily understand recovery. And so some of those have been, in my past, a little bit hard.
I don't know what you just said.
In the fact that what I mean is there is some people that I've been friends with that don't understand my own recovery and my own addiction.
Okay.
It's none of their fault, but they like to drink and have their scotch, and they made it look so nice.
They would have a drink, most of them.
Yeah. I would imagine that some wouldn't, but
some would have more, but yes.
And then even in my head, I had the thought of...
Well, and we had a friend group too.
I could have a nice scotch with my cigar, and I used to like smoking cigars. And I remember like that was one of the harder times of my mental obsession coming back. I could enjoy that because, it's been many years since I've had a drink. And
what is mental obsession?
The mental obsession is thinking about something that tried to destroy my life that I needed to stop, but I'm making excuses to restart it. So the allergy is when I pick something up, the abnormal reaction is when I pick something up, a substance of like alcohol, I can't stop. And the mental obsession is once I stop, I keep starting. Very simple.
And the mental obsession tells you like,
wasn't so bad.
I could just have it would be fine.
And so the mental obsession is the big problem, the 80% of the problem. Because if I never drink, then I don't have the reaction that produces a craving for more. But it's all up here in the mental obsession. So I remember catching myself. And so even in my own friendships, I have to be honest. I have to be, this is what my life has been. This is why I do these things. This is what recovery is to me. And either they accept that and help me with that, and we become friends within that. And I remember even in the friends group, the friend club of the leadership, the first time we had a dinner, going, are you guys okay if people drink, like have a glass of wine? And I was like, yeah, I'm totally fine with that. So I would never want somebody to change if they have a glass of wine or whatever at dinner.
You weren't always, though. Early in recovery, we didn't want to be around alcohol. Early in
No.
like,
I'm not saying I'm not going to be around alcohol. Like if people are drinking and getting drunk, I'm not going to be in that scenario. But I don't mind if people have a drink.
Early in recovery, or in the early years, it was really hard for us to even be around alcohol. Not people getting drunk, but it was hard for us to be around alcohol. Most of the choices that we made in early recovery, if we knew that people were going to be having drinks, we chose not to go because it was just easier for us at that point. Like in the first couple of years.
I remember going to my first Sens game, and I couldn't believe how many people were drinking. I was
the baseball game?
I could just smell it, and that was like my first year.
I remember
being shocked of like, wow, everybody's drinking.
I remember walking into the Blue Jays.
And they all do it normally, for the most part.
With
Not at the Leaf games, though.
I remember walking into the Blue Jay Diamond with the kids, and we were walking in, and you stopped. And I was like, what are you doing? And you were like, the smell. And that was like in like the first couple of years.
And then I was thinking about children relationships, because children relationships are very intense for a long period of time in a certain way. And then once they hit teenage years, it becomes very different. And then once they hit adult years, it becomes even more different.
Redefining
relationships. So that's an interesting one.
It is.
Everybody that has young kids are like, this is how it's always going to be. And then there's some drastic shift changes.
Yeah. It's interesting talking with other people about that, because I have a bunch of friends whose kids are the same age as mine. And so it's interesting like just even hearing like, as we got to that time of like, do you still make his lunches? Do you still wake him up in the morning? Like all those little things of like, and I remember a friend saying to me, like, you wake your son up in the morning? Like, he's 15. He should be waking himself up in the morning. And I thought, oh, okay. And then he started setting an alarm and getting himself out of bed. And like, man, that kid, he was never late. He made his own lunch and also did his own laundry, but that was more negligence on my part.
Or just great parenting. All right, we're going to, I think we have to pray for our relationships. I think that part of having the character of Jesus, of having his spirit, of being loving, of being tolerant, of being peaceful, we can't just hang out with people that we love. Like, we need to be in relationships with people that are unlovable, because they help us be loving.
They do help us be loving.
So I think we need to get into relationships with a variety of different people. We have to practice the Spirit of God and pray for them, pray for us to be changed. I don't think enough of us pray for our own spirit to be changed. And
I think that makes a lot of sense, because I was thinking too, like as I was reading it, I was thinking it's so important to recognize when I'm just taking from the relationships around me, and learning how to give is like such a big part of learning how to be a friend and how to be a partner and how to, and when you were saying to pray for them and to I think that really makes a lot of sense.
Good. Pray for your friends, pray for relationships. Let God lead you into relationships, especially with intimate relationships. I think that's a great thing.
Don't paint red flags green.
Don't paint red flags green. Good.
My friend said that.
Let's leave on that note. All right, let's crush this day. Let's do it.